McKenna, Director of Product Management here at Interaction. So hi Mary, thank you for being here today.
Pleasure.
So today we're going to be talking about voice biometrics. So to get us started, do you mind explaining what voice biometrics is?
Sure. So voice biometrics is a technology that allows you to record someone's voice and use that voice to authenticate them on the next call. And what happens here is when you record someone's voice, hundreds of features of that voice are actually mapped to what we call a voice print. And then that voice print will get stronger. Every time somebody calls in, we strengthen that voice print, so the authentication piece gets stronger and stronger as well.
And what makes voice biometrics a better authentication method than PINs or passwords?
So if you have a PIN or a password, number one, about 95% of people share their passwords. So as soon as you shared it, you've compromised that password. Also, passwords can be randomly guessed. And finally, there's huge data breaches that take place all the time. And as a result, you will need to provide an additional layer of security on any account that you think is important to guard.
And are there any industries where voice biometrics are particularly beneficial?
So I think that any industry that adopts voice biometrics is adding a level of security to their authentication that would be helpful. However, it is certainly true that financial services is out front with this technology. Obviously, fraud is a very big problem in financial institutions, and anything they can do to protect the user account is helpful, and voice biometrics has been introduced in many financial services companies. I would say a second one is the health industry, because again, health data is so important to protect.
So what kinds of trends can we expect to see from voice biometrics in the near-term future?
I would say definitely in the next year, we will see more adoption of dynamic prompting, which is what we call a liveness detector. And the reason for that is you frequently read about how much synthetic speech is improving, and if they wanted to call your account and use a synthetic voice to try to get through, they might try that. If you have a dynamic prompt, what would happen is random numbers or something like, say, April, June, August. And the user would have to repeat that, and the reason you do that is so that a person couldn't have a synthetic speech program ready to go to compromise the system. So I think we are going to see more dynamic prompting as synthetic speech gets better and better. And in addition to synthetic speech, another trend is layering authentication factors. So you would have a knowledge-based factor, which might be your account number, your social security number, etc. On top of that, you would have something like a device ID or your phone number, which is a second factor of authentication, makes it very strong. And then the third factor of authentication could be voice biometrics. So if you put all three together, you have an extremely strong authentication measure, but not every transaction needs that. Sometimes the voice biometric authentication alone will be fine.
What are some important things to consider if someone's thinking about implementing voice biometrics?
What you want to do is say, why is my company doing this? Is it to save money? Is it to add security to your transactions? Or is it to improve the customer experience? All of those factors, everybody will say, oh yes, I would like all three of those in the decision-making process, but you really need to pick one. And once you've decided what the reason is that you're doing this, you'll design a service that will enhance that factor the most. So if it's customer experience, you might not do as much layering, and you might want to choose passive. If it's security, you may want to go with active and a layered approach. And if it's cost savings, you might decide what transactions can go without authentication at all and what can have single voice bio on top of it.
Great, well thank you for being here with us today, teaching us more about voice biometrics.
You're welcome, my pleasure.